So we met in his apartment in New York. This has a lot to do with Paul as a person and why he and I had a lasting friendship. He said, okay, let's go. I want to work.
After Robert Redford died, his ex-wife Lola Van Wagenen ended decades of silence to reveal a shocking secret about the disturbing relationship between Redford and Paul Newman, something no one had ever shared before. According to her, Redford once forced the whole family to move from New York to a remote house in Connecticut just to be near Newman, where the two men would often visit each other late at night. She said bitterly that Redford spent thousands of dollars on fancy gifts for Newman, while she, his wife of many years, never even received a single flower from him. The final straw came during their last argument when Redford chose Newman over divorcing his longtime wife. So what was the secret tragedy that Lola Van Wagenen hid for decades while living with Redford? Did he really love anyone else besides Paul Newman? All answers are revealed in this video. Robert Redford and Paul Newman were once called Hollywood's perfect pair because of the long bond they shared through fame and the challenges of celebrity life. This made the public often ask, was their friendship just a legendary brotherhood, or did it hide a secret love story? Rumors spread and whispers continued, but to understand it, one must go back to 1969, when Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid was made, marking the start of one of Hollywood's most mysterious relationships. Hollywood in the 1960s was tough for big stars. Paul Newman was already a superstar, while Robert Redford was a rising actor still trying to find his place. Yet one choice by Newman changed everything, not just for Redford, but for American cinema. In 1969, during the casting of Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, 20th Century Fox wanted Steve McQueen or Marlon Brando. Newman, through rare determination and instinct, refused them and gave the role to Redford, even telling his wife Joanne Woodward, "The script is perfect and only Bob Redford can play this role." The movie was a big success and also started the buddy film genre. On screen, they were Butch and Sundance. Off-screen, they began a friendship that became legendary. Newman opened the doors to Hollywood, Redford walked through, and together they built a rare bond between two men in a world where fame often breaks relationships. Behind the scenes of Butch Cassidy, jokes and secrets started. Newman, who loved car racing, was interested in Redford's Porsche 904. They sometimes gave each other wild gifts. Redford gave Newman a Porsche crushed into a metal block for his birthday. Newman replied by filling Redford's car with popcorn. Under the laughter, however, was an unspoken connection, a bond that went far beyond acting. 4 years later, The Sting came out, reuniting them, this time with reversed roles. To get Newman to join, Redford even gave up part of his own profit. The result? They won Oscars, made hundreds of millions at the box office, and became Hollywood's golden duo. Their friendship was shown not just in money or awards, but in the sacrifices they made for each other, something rare among top stars. Away from the spotlight, they moved to live only a mile apart in Connecticut. Their families mixed like relatives, with children calling Redford Uncle Bobby. They were seen together at racetracks, charity events, and quiet talks about politics and the environment. During that time, many rumors about their relationship appeared. Their on-screen chemistry was so natural that later online forums asked if it could have been a secret romance. The clearest signs for fans and reporters were sightings of Newman and Redford eating privately at small restaurants in Los Angeles or New York, often late at night, when the dim light hid them from curious eyes. They were also seen leaving the Butch Cassidy set in the same convertible, with Redford driving and Newman beside him, laughing comfortably as if the world belonged only to them. Stories from the film crew added to the mystery. A lighting crew member remembered that during filming of The Sting in 1973, Newman and Redford often left the set after the director yelled "cut," only to be found talking privately in a hidden corner, laughing and sharing cigarettes. Some sources close to Redford said he kept a special Polaroid in his wallet for years, a photo of Newman sleeping on a lounge chair on set with a dreamy smile. Redford called it his little treasure, but never explained what it really meant. For many years, no one knew the real nature of their relationship. Everything became clear only recently, after Redford's death, when Lola Van Wagenen spoke about the relationship that had troubled her for many years. After Robert Redford suddenly died at age 89, Hollywood mourned the loss of a silver screen icon. But amid tributes from stars like Brad Pitt and Warren Beatty, an unexpected voice appeared. Lola Van Wagenen, Redford's ex-wife after 27 difficult years of marriage. At 86, the private historian who had avoided the spotlight finally spoke in an exclusive interview. With a shaky but strong voice, Lola not only talked about her personal losses, but also revealed a dark secret: the relationship that ruined her life, the forbidden love between Redford and his closest friend Paul Newman, which had stayed hidden for decades. Let's go back to the 1970s, when Redford and Newman, after the huge success of Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid in 1969, started a journey that went beyond the screen into real life. Lola's voice broke as she remembered. They said it was friendship, a Hollywood bromance, but I knew the truth. At that time, we were living in another house, but Bob convinced me to move to Connecticut just a mile from Paul's house. Not for work, not for convenience. It was so they could meet secretly and often without anyone noticing.
In the late afternoons, when Lola was busy with her charity work at Consumer Action, Newman would quietly slip in through the back door, and the two men would go into the master bedroom, a place where Lola had once dreamed of a happy family. They stayed there for hours, whispering words not meant for her to hear, while quiet laughter echoed through the thin walls of their calm suburban home. Lola was not blind. She tried to ignore the early signs: late-night calls from Newman and expensive gifts. Redford brought home a classic Rolex and a rare stamp collection, but never gave her a single flower or a word of affection. "I was insanely jealous," Lola admitted, tears running down her wrinkled face. "I yelled at Bob, 'You love him more than me, don't you?' And he just laughed, saying, 'It's friendship, Lola.' But I saw his eyes, the eyes of a man hiding a fire burning in his heart." Arguments erupted like storms. Objects were broken. Accusations flew. Lola begged, cried, and even knelt before Redford, but he held her mechanically, then went off to meet Newman at night, leaving her alone with her pain. Lola's jealousy didn't stop at words. She followed them on hunting trips in Utah and car races in Connecticut, where Redford gave Newman the special Porsche 9004, a car he had promised to buy their son, but never did. "He never gave me a gift like that," Lola said bitterly. "Those years I lived like a ghost in my own home. I tried to hold on by having another child, Amy, in 1970, but Bob just smiled from a distance, his mind elsewhere." She even hired a private investigator, and blurry photos of the two men embracing by a pool, holding hands under the moonlight, became undeniable proof. But Lola stayed silent, fearing a scandal would ruin Redford's career, and because part of her still loved him deeply. The climax came in 1985, when Lola could take no more. On a stormy night in Connecticut, she confronted Redford for the last time. "Choose, Bob, me or Paul. You can't have both." He sat by the fireplace, whiskey in hand, eyes distant, as if looking somewhere far away. Silence stretched like a century. Then he whispered, "Paul." Just those two words, but they tore Lola's heart apart. She remembered that moment like a knife cutting her. "I had hoped he would choose the family, the 4 children, the 27 years together. But no, he chose him, the man who came into our lives through a film and now took everything away." The divorce went quietly on paper, but in Lola's heart it was an endless war. After the divorce, Lola withdrew into the shadows, building an academic career and completing a PhD dissertation on American history at NYU. Yet the pain never went away. She remarried producer George Burrell in 2002, but that marriage was only a cover over old wounds. Meanwhile, Redford and Newman continued their relationship more freely, no longer worried about prying eyes. They planned new films together, traveled, and Newman even introduced Redford to professional racing, where they shared private moments away from the spotlight. Lola watched from afar through newspapers and paparazzi photos, and every time she saw them laughing together, her heart ached again. The final years of Newman's life, starting in 2007 when he fought lung cancer, were the most tragic part of this story. Redford, now the Sundance patriarch, became a loyal companion. He visited Newman as much as possible despite a busy schedule, flying weekly from Utah to Connecticut, sitting by his hospital bed for hours. "I love you," Redford whispered to Newman during private conversations. According to a nurse close to Newman, whom Lola later contacted, those words of love, no longer hidden, echoed through the hospital corridors. While Newman, weak but smiling, held Redford's hand and said, "You mean everything to me, Bob." Lola, though distant, followed through the children, and old jealousy rose. "He gave Paul what I never had, sincerity and sacrifice." When Newman died on September 27, 2008, Redford collapsed. He wrote, "I lost a true friend. It was the closest relationship of my life." But Lola knew better. It was not just friendship. She stayed silent for 17 years, holding her pain, until Redford's sudden death in his sleep at Sundance Resort brought everything back. "I cannot let the world remember him as a perfect icon," Lola said in the interview, her voice now strong with determination. "They need to know the truth. Paul and Bob gave up everything for each other, family, fame, and the hearts of women like me." Lola's revelations shocked Hollywood. Outlets like People and The Guardian ran bold headlines. "Redford Newman same-sex love, secret ex-wife reveals after 40 years." Newman's family denied it, calling it made-up stories born from old pain. But Lola stayed firm. "I have letters, photos, evidence I kept private to protect our children." She spoke of nights when Redford came home smelling of Newman's cologne, long trips together, and the way he looked at Newman with eyes no woman could ever match. "They loved each other from the first meeting on the Butch Cassidy set, and I was just the victim in that play." She ended the interview with a bitter smile. "I forgive Bob because his love for Paul was real, a truth our marriage never had. But now with him gone, I am free to tell the story, and the world will never see the Sting or Butch Cassidy the same way again." In the storm of public opinion, Lola von Wagenen, once forgotten, became the center of a love tragedy where friendship became passion, and passion destroyed everything.
Redford's secrets went beyond Paul Newman and involved other male stars in Hollywood over decades. So who were these secret relationships, and what is Hollywood hidden about them? The first love Redford devoted his youth to was Sidney Pollack. In the bright light of 1960s Hollywood, where every action was watched, a mysterious story quietly began on the set of War Hunt. Robert Redford, a talented but shy young man, met Sidney Pollack, a man who was not only gifted but also mysterious enough to draw everyone's attention. At that moment, many whispered, "Is this just a professional collaboration or the start of a deep, hidden attraction Hollywood has never seen?" From the first time on set together, Redford felt a special connection. Pollack understood him in ways no other director had, sensing emotions Redford had never dared to express. Some backstage assistants later said they saw Redford quietly watching Pollack during breaks, his gaze showing the stirrings of a first, unrecognized passion. The two did more than just work together. They became inseparable. In famous projects like Jeremiah Johnson and 3 Days of the Condor, Redford often went to Pollack first to discuss ideas, and sometimes agreed to work only if Pollack directed. Some Hollywood insiders whispered that Pollack was Redford's first true emotional inspiration, the one who helped him understand his own sexuality. Behind the scenes, life was full of unforgettable moments. On long evenings at Pollack's home, Redford would listen, watch, and share his fears and dreams. An old studio source said they were sometimes seen holding hands on New York streets or walking together after filming, sharing tender glances that made paparazzi shiver and fueled rumors of a secret relationship. Pranks and private moments on set also stirred Hollywood gossip. Redford gave Pollack thoughtful gifts, and Pollack responded with private encouragement. Some journalists who got close to the sets said that their gestures, glances, and smiles went far beyond normal friendship, and rumors of a secret romance started to spread. Though Redford never admitted it publicly, Pollock was the first person to truly make his heart feel alive. He quietly wrote in a personal diary that he had never felt a bond as deep or revealing as the one with Pollock. Some close friends later whispered that this was his first love, private, passionate, and formative. Redford's secret feelings did not stop there. He also fell for another male star. Between them was a hidden relationship full of mysteries. While filming All the President's Men in 1976, Robert Redford and Dustin Hoffman were not just two stars focused on their roles. They were also the center of curious looks. They were seen exchanging script notes and spending time reviewing materials together. Some reporters and backstage assistants said they were more than just colleagues. Their glances, gestures, and attentiveness were too unusual to be called professional friendship. From the start of filming, Redford and Hoffman were bonded in a way many in Hollywood called chemistry beyond the screen. A backstage assistant once said they were seen walking together after filming, hand in hand, discussing small details of the Watergate scandal, their eyes full of tenderness. They didn't want anyone to notice, but they could not hide their feelings, the assistant said. Evenings after filming became a safe place for the two. Redford often invited Hoffman to his apartment, where they shared fears, dreams, and untold stories. Some close industry friends whispered that it was during these nights that Redford first felt deep, real emotions, feelings that helped him understand himself and his attraction to men. Rumors grew louder as subtle evidence appeared, noticed by paparazzi and reporters. They were seen leaving the same New York hotel together, or sharing a taxi back to Redford's apartment, exchanging sweet looks. Some articles suggested, if you pay attention, it's not just friendship. Hollywood is witnessing a secret love between these two stars. During promotional tours, when interviewed separately, they always protected each other and respected each other's privacy. Yet their eyes sometimes showed a connection beyond friendship. An editor once said, when Hoffman laughed at a story from Redford, his eyes didn't just smile. They showed admiration, longing, and a hidden love Hollywood had never seen so clearly. Hollywood kept whispering about this relationship for years. Some assistants said they stayed in close contact, exchanging small letters or delicate gifts no one else knew about. Rumors suggested this love was secret but strong. It was quietly acknowledged by those closest to the industry. Although never public, Redford and Hoffman left behind a story of secret, passionate, and unforgettable love in their lives.
Another figure rumored to be Redford's lover was Warren Beatty. According to insiders, the first time Beatty and Redford met at an after-Oscar party, they were immediately drawn to each other, their eyes meeting like sparks, and even longtime colleagues noticed something unusual. Within weeks, Hollywood began speculating about their secret nights together. Some backstage assistants said they saw Redford and Beatty leave late-night parties together, walking the empty streets of Beverly Hills and exchanging intimate gestures no one dared to talk about. They tried to keep it hidden, but everyone could see it, an assistant later recalled. In dressing rooms and on set, they were sometimes seen exchanging intense glances and mischievous smiles, as if they understood each other without words. Some journalists quietly wrote, Redford and Beatty don't just work well on screen. Hollywood is witnessing a secret love they have never publicly admitted. That brief but passionate affair seemed to make them forget time itself. Private evenings at Redford's apartment or Beatty's home were remembered by insiders as sleepless nights where every pent-up feeling was shared with gentle light and quiet laughter. One assistant whispered, if you look closely, they were hardly apart more than a few hours a day. While the public saw them as perfect on-screen duos, behind the scenes was a very different story. The intense glances, secret smiles, and late-night talks showed a love both dangerous and beautiful, stirring Hollywood gossip for decades. Even as Redford met other people, had relationships, and felt other attractions, his heart always went back to Paul Newman. Their relationship was not just friendship, but an invisible bond connecting two people, a rare understanding and empathy in Hollywood's tricky world. Every choice and decision in Redford's life seemed to revolve around this soulmate. Even when he met other women or felt other attractions, his heart stayed with Paul, the only man he truly trusted and could share his deepest self with. When Paul died in 2008, Redford's world suddenly became dark. No familiar eyes, no playful smile. Redford felt an endless emptiness in his soul. He lost not just a friend, but a spiritual brother, a soulmate, someone who understood him more than anyone else. The pain was impossible to describe. It touched every breath, every gesture, leaving Redford silent in front of the world. In the days after Paul's death, Redford no longer wanted to be with anyone. Invitations and new relationships all became meaningless. His heart was locked, living only in memories of Paul, their jokes, road trips, and simple but deep moments they shared. For Redford, no one could ever replace Paul in his life. Whenever he thought of Paul, Redford could not hide his sorrow. He would walk quietly along the streets they once walked together, or sit looking at an old photograph, closing his eyes and remembering the wonderful moments they had. Paul's absence was a void that could never be filled, leaving Redford's heart broken beyond repair. Finally, on September 25, 2025, Robert Redford died at the age of 89. But for those who followed his life, his death was not just the loss of a great actor. It was the moment he was finally reunited with his lover and closest friend, the one who had been with him throughout his life, Paul Newman. After years apart since Newman's death in 2008, Redford returned to the friend he always cherished, ending his life's journey in the spiritual embrace of his soulmate. At age 85, Robert Redford's ex-wife unexpectedly revealed shocking details about his relationship with Paul Newman, sending Hollywood into a frenzy again. From deep friendship to private pranks and secret feelings, their story took on a new controversial light, making fans wonder, do we really understand the emotional depth between these two legends? What do you think of these revelations? Are they just rumors or the truth behind the glittering screen? If you find this story interesting and want to learn more untold Hollywood secrets, don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any videos. Share your thoughts below, as every comment helps open new views on the movie legends we thought we already knew. Thank you for watching.